Most men walk into rooms of power the way they walk into a job interview, hungry, loud, apologetic. They over-explain. They overgive. They overchase. They send paragraphs, follow-ups, just checking in, and nervous jokes, then act confused when powerful people stay cold. Here's what you refuse to accept: the elite don't look for friends. They screen for assets and threats. Every interaction is an audit. Are you stable or emotional? Discreet or attention-seeking? Useful or needy? Power can smell need. And need is not just a feeling. It's a signal. It leaks through your posture, your pacing, your eagerness, your need to be liked. It shows up when you talk too much, agree too quickly, laugh too early, and try to prove your worth before anyone asked for it. This is where most men lose the room in the first 10 seconds. Because the moment you chase, you surrender the frame. You tell them, without words, you are above me. Your time is more valuable than mine. I will do anything to be included. And to a powerful person, that sounds like risk. Risk brings drama. Drama brings distraction. Distraction gets cut off. They don't hate you. They're protecting their kingdom. They've been burned by charming talkers, leaked messages, and men who collapse under pressure. So they default to distance. Your job is to become the exception without asking for mercy. You can be talented and still be invisible. Talent without control is just potential, and potential is everywhere. Powerful people don't collect potential. They collect certainty. They collect men who reduce problems, protect reputations, and move like professionals under pressure. So if you keep approaching power like a fan, you will stay outside the gate, watching other men get invited. Not because they're better. Because they're built differently. In this video, I'll give you 8 Machiavellian laws the elite live by, rules that turn you from a needy outsider into a strategic asset. If you're done chasing respect, comment, "I move in silence." To connect with power, you first need to understand how power thinks. Powerful people don't ignore you because you're worthless. They ignore you because they're trained by consequence to assume you are. When a man has influence, money, leverage, or visibility, he becomes a magnet for problems. Liars. Opportunists. Emotional vampires. Men who just want 5 minutes that turn into 50 favors. So he builds a filter. Not a friendly filter. A survival filter. And that filter isn't impressed by your hustle stories, your motivation, or your admiration. Talk is cheap. Passion is common. Compliments are everywhere. What's rare is a man who brings competence without ego, loyalty without begging, and value without noise. Understand the elite mindset: attention is expensive. Every conversation has an opportunity cost. Every introduction carries reputational risk. One wrong association can create drama, leaks, lawsuits, scandals, or internal politics. That's why powerful people don't meet new people. They assess threats. So they look for 4 signals. Competence: can you execute, or do you just explain? Discretion: can you hold weight, or will you broadcast it for approval? Emotional control: do you stay calm under pressure, or do you react like a child? Usefulness: do you remove friction, create outcomes, protect their time? Now compare that to what weak men do. They try to be liked. They try to be noticed. They overtalk, overpromise, and overexplain because they think connection is built through personality. But power isn't built on personality. Power is built on predictability. Here's the reframe that changes everything: you don't get access. You earn proximity by lowering their risk and raising their outcomes. The moment you become safe, useful, and controlled, you stop being a stranger. You become an asset. Now the laws: these are not tips. These are rules the elite live by, whether they admit it or not. And stay sharp, because law number 6 is the one that gets men quietly blacklisted forever. Admiration is cheap. It's everywhere. Powerful people swim in it like noise, praise, applause, flattery, validation from men who want to be seen standing near the flame. But value? Value is rare. And power only opens doors for what it can use, trust, and rely on. Here's where most men ruin their first impression: they enter with excitement. They enter with hunger. They enter trying to click with the person, trying to prove they're worthy of attention. They laugh too quickly. They agree too much. They talk about how long they've followed them, watched them, studied them. That doesn't make you memorable. That makes you replaceable. Powerful people don't reward your emotion. They reward your impact. If you want access to powerful circles, you don't approach with vibes. You approach with a specific utility, something that removes pain, creates advantage, or protects reputation. Not, I can help with anything. That's what beggars say. An asset speaks differently: I can solve this exact problem. I can deliver this outcome. I can reduce this risk. I can connect you to this resource. Clean. Precise. Controlled. And your posture matters as much as your offer. Calm eyes. Slow pace. No over-explaining. No performing. No trying to be liked. Because the man who tries to be liked is admitting he has no leverage. This is the identity shift: you're not trying to be included. You're presenting yourself as useful. Weak men bring compliments. Strong men bring outcomes. But even a valuable man gets blocked, because power is protected by layers. Power doesn't live in public. It lives behind layers. Assistants. Managers. Security. Advisors. Inner circle allies. These aren't people in the way. These are the walls that protect the king from chaos. And most men reveal their low status instantly by how they treat the wall. They get impatient. They get entitled. They try to go around the gatekeeper. They speak like the gatekeeper is irrelevant, like they're too important to deal with them. What they don't understand is simple: the gatekeeper isn't just a messenger. They are the filter. To the elite, gatekeepers are trained to detect problems, desperation, arrogance, instability, time-wasting energy. And the moment you trigger that detection, you don't get a dramatic rejection. You get something worse. You get quietly erased. No reply. No follow-up. No second chance. Just a silent decision, not worth the risk. The elite understand the truth: gatekeepers are not obstacles. They are the interview. So you move like an operator. Professional. Brief. Respectful. Predictable. You don't dump your life story in an email. You don't send paragraphs begging for just a moment. You communicate like a man who respects time, because respecting time is a high-status signal. Be clear about what you want. Be clean about what you offer. Be disciplined in your follow-up. And above all, be reliable. Because gatekeepers don't trust charm. They trust patterns. They trust men who do what they say, when they say. When you earn the gatekeeper's respect, something powerful happens: they start speaking for you when you're not in the room. Their trust becomes your first social proof. Their word becomes your introduction. And suddenly, the door that was locked opens. Once you get near the room, the next test is how you communicate. Most men fail here. Powerful people are tired. Not physically, mentally. They've heard every pitch. Every next big thing. Every man who just needs one chance. They've listened to speeches full of passion and zero proof. So when you speak in potential, you don't sound inspiring. You sound like another problem waiting to happen. Weak men talk in emotion: I'm hungry. I'm passionate. I'm grinding. I'm trying. That language is designed to win sympathy. Power doesn't run on sympathy. Power runs on results. An operator speaks in outcomes. Short. Measurable. Low drama. Instead of, I can help you grow, you say, I increased X by Y in Z days. Instead of, I'm really good at this, you say, here's what I delivered. Here's the proof. Instead of, let's hop on a call and explore, you say, here's the problem I can remove, here's the timeline, here's what I need from you, and here's what you get. Notice the difference. One is hoping. The other is positioning. And your goal isn't to sound aggressive or arrogant. It's to sound certain. Calm certainty is rare, and rarity signals status. Because powerful people don't bet on enthusiasm. Enthusiasm fades. They bet on execution. Execution compounds. So cut the extra words. Cut the explanations. Cut the motivational speeches. If you need too many sentences to justify your value, you don't have value yet, you have a story. And understand this, your mouth can destroy your status faster than your failures. One sloppy message, one needy paragraph, one emotional overreach, and the room labels you as unstable. Speak like a man who produces. Speak like a man who finishes. Even with the right words, your energy can still betray you. That's Law 4. Frame is invisible power. It's the atmosphere you carry into a room. It's who sets the emotional temperature. And the moment you start seeking approval, you lose it. Powerful people don't always test you directly. They test you the way hunters test prey, quietly. A delayed reply. A short message. A vague response. A long silence after you speak. Not because they're rude, but because they're watching. They want to see if you crumble. Most men do. They start overthinking. They double text. They explain themselves. They fill silence with nervous words. Their emotions start leaking through their behavior like desperation through a cracked wall. And the elite read that leak as instability. Because if you can't control yourself in small moments, you can't be trusted in big ones. Frame control means you stay calm when attention is removed. You stay steady when the room is cold. You don't rush to prove your worth. You don't react like a boy who needs to be chosen. You speak slower. You use fewer words. You pause without apologizing. You let silence sit, because silence is not awkward when you have status. Silence is only awkward when you need approval. And here's the part men don't understand. Being unimpressed doesn't mean being disrespectful. It means being emotionally neutral. It means you're not easily pulled, not easily played, not easily shaken. Reactive men perform. Strategic men observe. So when they test you with distance, you don't chase. When they test you with ambiguity, you don't panic. When they test you with pressure, you don't speed up. You stay centered, because centered men are rare, and rarity is power. The man who needs less controls more. Less validation. Less attention. Less reassurance. Less certainty. He can wait. He can watch. He can move at his pace. But here's the paradox, to be near power, you must never threaten it. Here's the Machiavellian truth men learn too late, power doesn't just reward talent. Power protects itself. And the fastest way to get removed from a high-level circle is to become a threat inside it. Most men sabotage themselves right when they finally get close. They try to prove they belong by dominating the conversation. They correct the leader in front of people. They show off their intelligence. They steal attention with jokes, stories, or opinions, because they think visibility equals status. But in elite environments, visibility without permission equals danger. And danger gets neutralized. Sometimes it's subtle. Less invites. Slower replies. The energy changes. You're still around, but you're no longer included. That's the soft band, being close enough to see the door, but never again being allowed through it. So you play it like a strategist, not like a performer. You make power feel respected, reinforced, and secure. You give credit publicly. You let them hold the spotlight. You don't compete with the leader's ego, you protect it. And if you disagree, you do it privately, cleanly, only when invited. Because challenging power in public is not bravery. It's poor political intelligence. Your goal is not to impress the room. Your goal is to make the powerful person win, then become the man they associate with winning. And let's be clear, this isn't submission. This is positioning. Weak men shrink because they're afraid. Strategic men restrain themselves because they're calculating. You're not making yourself smaller. You're choosing timing. You're choosing longevity over applause. You're choosing access over ego. Because once power feels safe around you, you get something better than attention. You get trust. Now we enter the real currency of elite circles, not money, discretion. Power lives under threat. Not just from enemies, but from envy. From competitors. From the media. From lawsuits. From friends who talk too much. From men who can't hold information without turning it into entertainment. That's why the elite don't give access to the loud. They give access to the controlled. Because the fastest way to lose proximity to power is simple: you talk. You name drop to feel important. You screenshot private conversations. You hint online. You gossip to build social currency. You brag about being in the room. And you think you're signaling status. You're not. You're signaling danger. One careless sentence can cost you years. Years of building, years of positioning, years of trust, destroyed because you needed applause for something that was never meant to be public. Understand what discretion really means. It's not just secrecy. It's loyalty to the boundaries of power. It's knowing what not to say, what not to post, what not to repeat, and what not to imply. So become a vault. Minimal sharing. Minimal posting. No public flexing with private relationships. No subtle hints. No stories for attention. You don't use powerful people as props to upgrade your image, because the elite can smell that hunger instantly. And here's the irony: the quieter you are, the more you hear. The less you speak, the more you're trusted. The more you're trusted, the deeper you get invited. This is the silent brotherhood rule: if you want to be near kings, you must prove you can carry weight without needing recognition. Because power doesn't reward excitement. Power rewards containment. Once you're trusted, you still need one more weapon: status transfer. Status is a currency. And like all currency, it moves faster when it's already been verified. That's why one credible introduction can do what 10 cold messages never will. Proximity compresses time. Shared rooms remove doubt. A reference from the right person turns you from random man into vetted man. This is how elite networks work, not through friendliness, through validation. So you earn small endorsements first. You don't aim for the top of the mountain on day one. You deliver results in smaller arenas, quietly, consistently, until someone with weight can say, "He's solid. He handles business." That sentence is leverage. And when you get that leverage, you use it intelligently. Not by flexing it publicly, not by turning it into a personality, but by letting it open the next door. One room leads to another. One proof point leads to a bigger opportunity. That's how you climb without begging. But here's the warning most men ignore: borrowed status is temporary. If all you have is association, you become an accessory. You get invited when they need numbers, atmosphere, or convenience. And the moment a more useful man appears, you get replaced, because you never became necessary. The elite don't promote potential, they promote proof. So while you borrow status, you build your own. You sharpen a skill that produces outcomes. You develop a reputation for discretion and delivery. You become the man who makes things smoother, faster, safer, and better. The mission is a transition. From someone they tolerate to someone they rely on. Because tolerance is fragile. Reliance is power. And finally, the law that separates disciplined men from desperate men: how you exit. Chasing is the loudest low-status signal on earth. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how talented you are, how much value you could bring. When you chase, you confess something without speaking. You have no options. And the moment you chase, you hand power away. You turn the relationship into a transaction where you're the needy one asking to be chosen. Powerful people can feel that pressure, and they avoid it the way they avoid debt. This is why the elite respect men who can walk away calmly. Men who don't triple text. Men who don't follow up 5 times with, just checking in. Men who don't beg for time like time is charity. Because desperation doesn't just look weak, it looks unpredictable. And unpredictability is risk. So you learn the discipline of the clean exit. Short messages. Clear intent. No emotional residue. No passive aggression. No bitterness. No, guess you're too busy for me. No speeches. No dramatic unfollowing. No public subtweets. That's how boys cope. A strategic man leaves clean because he knows something. Elite circles have memory. They don't just remember what you did, they remember how you made them feel under pressure. Composure is a reputation. And scarcity, real scarcity, is not a tactic. It's not playing games. It's not pretending to be busy. It's the natural byproduct of a life with momentum, standards, purpose, work, training, discipline, mission. When you have a mission, you don't chase rooms. You build yourself until rooms start adjusting to you. The rule is simple: never chase power. Align with it only when alignment is mutual. The moment you chase, you confess you have no options. Now you have the laws, but laws mean nothing without a code you live daily. Now you have the laws. But don't misunderstand me, knowing them isn't power. Living them is. So here's your 30-day code. A field manual. No fantasies. No manifesting. Just proof. Day 1 to 30, build one tangible asset skill. Not a hobby. Not a vague interest. A weapon: sales, editing, copy, closing, fitness coaching, operations, coding, something that creates outcomes on command. If you can't produce results, you'll always sound like potential. Tighten your communication. Shorter messages. Cleaner requests. Outcome language. No essays. No emotional explanations. Speak like a man whose time is expensive. Practice silence and frame control daily. Slow down. Observe. Stop filling space. Let silence train your nervous system. Become the man who doesn't flinch when attention is removed. Deliver one measurable outcome for someone with momentum. Not to beg for validation, so you can create a track record. One result becomes your reference. Your reference becomes your entry. Protect discretion like religion. No name dropping. No screenshots. No gossip. No public flexing. If you can't hold weight, you don't deserve access. And here's the reframe that ends the old you: you're not trying to enter their world. You're building yourself into the kind of man whose presence is a strategic advantage. Powerful people don't connect with noise. They connect with gravity. Comment: I become the asset. Subscribe if you're building silent power.